Here you can take a look at all the processes that are currently running on your system. If there was anything, well, after a while, I know it seems when you look at it like this kind of complicated and you don't know what is what and you wouldn't be able to tell apart a malicious thing from a benevolent thing. Over the course of time, over when you start using it, when you learn about it, when you use it on a daily basis or something of a kind, and you pass the Red Hat certification for a system administrator, eventually you just need to take a look at this once and you pretty much know what each one of these things does. Or in 99% of the, or in those 1% of the cases out of 99%, you have a vague idea of what that process is, and then you can figure it out from there. But believe me, people can just glimpse at this and pretty much know what each one of these does relatively fast with relative ease. Anyway, in addition to that, you got the user that's running those processes, a random guy. That is me. That is my username that I have created. Yours is probably different. I hope to God that you didn't copy mine. I strongly urge you to type in whatever you wish. And in addition to that, we have the amount of resources that our current processes are consuming. So you can see most of them are pretty much idle. But this one, the GNOME shell, is consuming 32% of the CPU, has this ID, which can be used to actually kill the process. And then we have 573, what is this? Megabytes, I think. Hold on. Let me just expand it. Yep, it's 573 megabytes of RAM, which is a fairly expensive process in comparison to pretty much everything else that is running here. However, there are better tools which we will use in the terminal and that will give you better overview of the entire situation. But know that this exists. Okay, so let's just close it. Go back to our place, system tools. And there we go. So it says Red Hat Subscription Manager. You can configure your subscriptions here if you want other sort of registrations. What I really want to do is go ahead and click on software. And here you can actually search for different sort of packages, so backup client, let's see, just selected. And this is basically a graphical user interface for the installation of various packages, of various software programs, etc. So you can pretty much find whatever is in the repositories here. However, people don't tend to use this one as it is a GUI. But again, another one of those things that you should know that it exists. And all those, for example, on Windows, on Android, and on Mac, you know how they say, oh, it's amazing, you have this store, and you go there and you can download software immediately from there. Well, let me just tell you, Linux had that from the very beginning. Like from the very beginning. Well, maybe not the first Linux that ever came out, but it's pretty close. I'm sure of it. Pretty much, people have just been pulling software from the official repositories for as long as I know. So long before Windows, long before Apple, Mac OS X, and definitely long before Android, Linux had repositories from which people always kept on pulling software to install onto their machines, as it is a fairly secure way of doing that, as all that software that is there is checked by the repository maintainers. Anyway, it's a very nice thing to have, but we're going to use a terminal one, which is fairly simple to use. It's called Yum, and I will show you fairly well how to use it. You will become proficient with it, so you don't have to worry about it. Another thing here is the system log. Now, even though most people tend to do these things in the terminal, the system log here, the tool, it gives you a rather nice overview of the things. So if you just type, you do require a root password in order to review the logs, as is to be expected. So you have of various processes here, of various things that have happened. You have their logs and you can see what is going on. This is especially important for troubleshooting. I would even argue that this is better than the terminal, as it gives a bit of a better overview of the existing logs, and then you can just scroll through them and see what is going on. Generally, people take a look at messages and what was going on in general with the system itself. You just scroll up and down and take a look. These lines, they don't mean much to you now, but uh, they will. They will in time. Just show a bit of patience. You can't know everything from if in like 5 minutes you cannot learn everything. That's for sure. Just a little bit of patience and you will eventually become proficient. Okay, so yeah, this is another thing that I'm going to show you fairly soon, but for the time being, let's just stick to what we have. System tools again. So you have startup applications. Here you can configure cron jobs, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you can configure cron jobs via the terminal, but here you can also use a graphical user interface to just say, okay, I want this application to run at startup, and I want this one, and I want this one, or I don't want that one, I don't want this one. So here you can actually create your own scripts and link them here. Just name it whatever you want, then you browse it in the file system, you find it, just double click on it, the command will be here, and then you can even comment it if you want. That script will run at startup. This is a very common thing for system administrators to have plenty of scripts that will run at startups. They usually carry a USB stick with them with like 10,000 scripts on it. Every particular script has its own thing. Usually those are troubleshooting tools that people make for themselves. I don't know, to filter certain traffic out, or to boot certain services, to kill certain services, to start certain services, sorry, not boot, and to display certain files, or to display certain logs, and to see the status of certain things. Anyway, that's pretty much it as far as this part is concerned. Perhaps one more thing is Red Hat Access and Boxes is actually for accessing other machines, so we won't need that at the time being, but it can be nice. You can use Red Hat Access to connect to their network directly from your operating system, and have a look if you can find anything useful there. But we shall deal more with these things a bit later on. Here I'm just giving you a bit of intro. Down at the utilities, there are some fairly nice things. So Archive Manager can unpack pretty much anything. You know how in Windows you have to actually you have to download an unzip software. 7-zip is free, but you have RAR, or you have WinRAR or something of a kind that you have to pay for. Here in Linux, you can pretty much unpack anything for free, no problems. Got a lot of things here. Well, dictionary is not particularly useful to us at the moment. You get a disk usage analyzer, not bad. Font document. Okay, so remote desktop viewer is very nice. It comes free. You can utilize it, no problems, to access computers remotely and provide technical support. That can be very nice. You don't need to install anything extra there. Up here you got disks, so let's just open up our disks, and there we go. We got pretty much everything listed here. So it's 137 gigabytes hard disk. This is probably the Windows one, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, this is XFS Linux bootable. Down below we got some other Red Hat 2.7 gigabyte block partition. I don't exactly know what this is, but okay, so 80 block device. This should be home. Yep, there we go. So Red Hat home. Let's just see what this is. Oh, this is swap. There we go. So we can read it here. It's swap, and up here it's root. So you can figure out how you can review your partitioning scheme here without bigger problems by just clicking. It's fairly simple to read through it without any bigger difficulties. You can also, well, create a disk image, restore a disk image, you can benchmark it. It provides a wide variety of options for you to play around with. I'll just go back to utilities to see if I've actually missed anything. Nope, that would be it. Okay, so there is one more thing that I want to show. Sorry, utilities. Sorry, action overview. Excellent. So if you go to action overview, you're going to be prompted with this, and on the right side you have your virtual desktop, so you can have multiple things on multiple desktops. That can be very nice, primarily because it's a space saver, so you can just switch between them. We'll probably do that later on as we progress. Here at the top center you have a search box, so you can type in the approximate name of any application. So There we go. So terminal. Okay, so let's try something else. Baresso. No, I have a feeling I misspelled it. Baresso. Ah, there it. Bracero. Sorry, Bracero. That's how it's read. I misread it because I don't use Bracero. I use the KD one, but doesn't really matter. I want to show you something new and something a bit different. Anyway, you can do this in the terminal as I have said, but this is how you would search for things in your GUI interface, so you could actually find them. You don't need to know the file system by heart. You can just use the search functionality here and figure out where is what and how to find things. This is your sidebar on the left side. You see you have Firefox here and some other things. This can be changed by a simple drag and drop. Fairly simple. You can even show the applications like this, frequent or all, and now you can just scroll down. So this has been implemented for a while now. I mean, if you have a touch screen or something like that, I bet this could work really well. But anyway, down here at the bottom is our number one program, the holy grail of power, the terminal. So let's just go ahead and open it. With this, I shall conclude today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will start using the terminal. I hope that you have familiarized yourself with this desktop layout, at least to an extent, to see where is what and what can you do where, because I remember when I was starting to learn, when I was figuring out how Linux works and coming from Windows, the graphical user interface was completely unclear to me. So I went around, I learned, I scowled, and so on and so forth, even though I should have probably learned the terminal first. But over the time, you learn how to use the terminal, you learn how to use the command line. It is important to know how to do things in GUI primarily because that is your reserve option. So if you don't know how to do it in via terminal in the very beginning, while you're still learning, just go ahead and use the GUI. Don't waste more than an hour on something. If you can't figure it out, oh well, do it in a GUI and then come back in the terminal, especially the firewall settings and stuff like that. That is quite delicate, and you need precise commands to know exactly what is going on, to know exactly what sort of traffic are you allowing to pass and what sort of traffic are you not allowing to pass. In any case, as I said in the follow-up tutorial, we're going to jump straight into the terminal, so be ready. Until then, I bid you all farewell. Welcome everybody to this tutorial. Today I will begin using the command line interface, but before I do, let me just share a few things with you from my own personal experiences with the command line. First of all, it can seem a little bit complicated, especially to Windows users, and in the beginning it might seem like you will never be able to learn it or something of a kind, but believe me, that is not the case. Thousands of people, millions of people have learned it before you who had the exact same mindset. I don't want you to worry about that. If it seems complicated or if you make mistakes or if something doesn't work immediately, don't worry about it. It happens to everybody. Most important of all, do not get frustrated by it. If you do, get up, go make a cup of coffee, drink a cup of water, go for a walk, whatever, make a 5-minute break, whatever calms you down. Do it, because if you are frustrated, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to do much. I guarantee it to you. Anyway, if you just stick with it, by the end of this course, you will master the Linux command line and you will successfully be able to use Red Hat without any problems. You will have full knowledge of the terminal in Red Hat, and you will command it to the fullest of extents. You will be able to do whatever you want with it without any bigger difficulties. But as I said, if there are problems along the way, and there will be problems along the way, if you encounter bumps, don't stop, just stick with it, and eventually you will figure it out of that, I assure you. It is not as complicated as it seems. It's very simple, straightforward, no problems. Anyway, that being said, let's just go ahead and click on application, move on down to utilities, scroll to the bottom, and there is a terminal icon here. We're just going to go ahead and click it. Excellent. So I have already changed my terminal here to an extent, but if you just go ahead and click on Edit and you say Profile Preferences, here you can customize it to a good extent. So I have there are just a few things that you need to customize here. Other than that, you can just leave as it is. So profile name, it's random guy. That's my username for this account. So I have changed the profile name to random guy. It will probably be by default untitled or something of a kind, but even if you don't change it, it won't make any significant differences. Down below, this will be ticked, so use system fixed with font, and if you untick this, you will be able to select a custom font for you, and you will also be able to configure the font size, which is very nice. So if I say 20, this is going to get even bigger. I'm probably going to say 22 for the purposes of this tutorial. I generally wouldn't use it, but I want you to be able to see everything that goes on here. Down below, you have the cursor shape. So just take a look at the terminal in behind at the top and see how the block changes to an I-beam and then how it changes to an underline. I personally like to use a block. You can use either of the three, any of the three, whichever suits your needs or preferences. You can also configure the default terminal size. You can resize it basically now to anything you want with an arrow with your mouse. However, this default terminal size refers to every time you open up a terminal, what size do you want it to be then? But after you have opened it up, you can change it to whatever you want. Anyway, the next thing that I want to configure is colors. So under colors, you can say what sort of scheme do you want. It says use colors from the system theme. Do you want that? No, I do not want that. Okay, I generally choose blue on black. For this particular tutorial, I've chosen green on black. I think you'll be able to see things a lot better that way. But you can choose whatever you want. So you'll look, here you have text color. You can choose your text color to be anything. It can be yellow or whatever this color is. And look, it changes in the background, no problems. It can be, is this crimson or red? This is red. Okay, so, oops, I just changed the color plate, sorry. Let's just put it red here. And you can see that it immediately changes. But I'm just going to go ahead and select, was it this green or this green? Select, yep, it was this one. Excellent. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this one here. Okay, so bold color. No, I don't want bold color to be that, sorry. Let's just cancel, same as the text color. Don't alter that. I thought for a moment it was something different. So the bold color is basically bold letters. What sort of color do you want for that kind of text or something of a kind, if I'm not mistaken? Anyway, down below you have built-in schemes. So you can, I don't know, use different ones. There's like the Linux console, or I don't know, Tango. I've honestly never used that one, or Xterm. I don't know, I really wouldn't use that one either. You have the color plate down here, which you can play around with if you want, but there really is literally no need for you to do that. You can just say custom and then choose whatever you want. But there's not even a need to play with palette at all. You can change color of different things there, but no need. You're just going to confuse yourselves. Rather, instead, just change the text color and the background color to whatever suits you. I would personally recommend that you change it to something that is suiting for your eyes. Anyway, do we have anything here? Okay, yes, the scroll bar. How many lines do you want to be able to scroll back to? This is a pretty good thing, actually. It might not seem important or something of a kind, but more often than not, you will want to scroll back and you will want to see that what have you done or what has been done. So it's not bad to keep this number high. I think 8,192 is plenty, so there's no need to change that. But sometimes it's a good idea to click on unlimited, although all these things cost resources. Compatibility. Okay, so no need to change anything actually here. By default, this is all fine. Title and command, this is all also fine. You can run some additional scripts
or something of a kind. Custom made says run a custom command instead of my shell. Don't change that. Just leave it as it is. There's no real reason to change anything here. We will be changing things in the terminal anyway. If you want something to run on boot up, we will place it in the cron tab, and there things will run. You don't need to put anything here or anything of a kind. Anyway, let's just go ahead and close this, expand the terminal across the board, and I'm gonna switch to full screen. Okay, so capture. Okay, there we go. So it's across the whole screen, and now we can begin with some basic concepts. So first of all, let me introduce you to the cd command. See, cd, it stands for change directory. With it, you are able to navigate the file system. In a sense, I can now cd to home. You can type in 2 letters, 2, 3 letters, or even 1, and then press tab to complete it. Here, observe. I can type in cd slash stands for root. So this is the root of the directory. You can see that this part here has changed from this to this. Excellent. So if, as I said, if I type in cd space slash and I type in h tab, it immediately completes and it says it's home. It knows how to go there. And then inside of home, I have my username, which is random guy. I can just type in R and then press tab again, and it's going to auto-complete the whole command. So sometimes you need to type in more than one letter or press tab twice. There you go. So it completed. Just go ahead and clear that. So cd, if I slash home, it's going to complete. And if I even don't type anything in here, because there's only one possibility, if I press tab, it's going to finish and it's going to type in random guy, the username. And if I type in tab again, nothing's going to happen. But if I type it twice really fast, actually I've typed it in thrice here, but doesn't really matter. You are able to see from here. You see, this is the command. I've typed in tab twice, tab twice, and now I got a list of possible folders that I could navigate to, directories actually, that I could navigate to. Very simple. And if I type in capital T, that's for templates. Is there anything else with a T? Nope, there is. Okay, let's use the P. So there are two things with P as far as I can see. It's pictures and public. If I type in tab, nothing, but if I type it again, it's pictures and public. So it gives me the two possibilities. Very easy way of navigating through the entire file system, but you might ask yourselves, how does he know where to go? That's a pretty good question actually. And we use our pre-existing knowledge, of course, but we also use another command which helps us navigate and figure out where we are at the moment. Now, before I go into that, there is this command which I've used previously. It's called clear. It's spelled like this. And if you type it into the terminal, it's going to clear pretty much everything that is there. You see, I just typed in clear, and it literally does what it says. What the name says it does. It clears the screen completely. It clears the terminal. Quite in handy, very helpful to stay neat, stay in focus with what you are doing at the moment. Now, there is this command ls, and if I press it, you see it lists if I just type in ls without adding any arguments of whatsoever, it's going to list all the folders and all the files, and it's going to list pretty much everything within my current working directory. It's not going to give me the hidden files, but you don't really need those at the moment. I will explain shortly what those are and how you can see them. But if I just type in ls, it's going to show me everything in my current working directory. So if, for example, if I want to go to boot, dev, bin, etc, home, lib, whatever, I would type in cd space etc, press enter, and then I would type in ls again, and you see I have a whole ton load of files here, folders, files here, directories, and so on and so forth. I have a lot of stuff here in general. So let's just go ahead and clear. You will too. But there is another key thing with this cd command. Actually, there are a few shortcuts that you can use, and there is one key thing. So let's just go back to root directory. To go back to root directory, you just type in cd space slash. This is pretty much the same concept that is on Unix, Linux type systems. That also is the same concept that works on a BSD or on Mac. The only operating system that this concept is not valid. The command cd is, but the concept of a slash is not on Windows. So Windows machines would use something like this, a backslash. This would be their point of reference. This would be how they would navigate. With backslash, so you would say, I don't know, program files, and then backslash, I don't know, something here. Something, and then again, random stuff. Anyway, this is how they would navigate. This is how you would navigate in Windows with backslashes and then typing in the whole path. Also, the tab option that I've showed you a moment ago works a bit differently there as well. Let's just go ahead and clear the screen and see. Oops, I don't need to, because you can also see where you are here. It's going to tell you generally where you are in this section that I have selected now. So slash just represents root. But look at this. I can cd to home, and let's say I'm in home. And let's say that I want to go exactly, actually let's go to random guy and then clear. And let's say I want to go exactly one step backwards. How would you do that? You don't want to type in cd and then root and then home and then you would go back there. Okay, in this particular example it's relatively simple, but you could be somewhere deep in the file structure, and to type this path in again can be a bit tedious. Just to go one step backward, it's not very practical. So symbol for the previous directory is dot dot. If I type in dot dot, I'm gonna go back one directory. I can go back again, so cd dot dot. See, I'm going backwards. The current directory is cd dot. Well, there wouldn't be a point to type in cd dot, but the marcation for the current directory is a dot. Anyway, another thing that you can type in is, after you have cleared, is pwd, print working directory. So if I press enter, okay, so it's root. If I cd home, pwd, I'm in home now. So clear, cd random guy, clear, pwd, I am in home, root home random guy. Excellent. So if I type in cd dot dot and again pwd, you can see that this path here, that this not path, but this current working directory is different from this one. It's different by exactly one single step here, and that is the dot dot, which signifies the previous working directory. Simple as that. You go forward, you go backward, you go forward, you go backward. Very simple to navigate. There will be a few more things in regard to the cd command in the follow-up tutorial, as this will be a mini series within this course where we shall learn the basics of the terminal, how to use it, what commands you need on your day, what basic commands and more advanced commands and stuff of a kind. And then later on we will get into the actual stuff that you will need for the Red Hat Certified Administrator exam. But you cannot really do any of those things without learning these fundamental basics. Anyway, I bid you farewell, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Welcome back, everybody. Let's just continue. So the last time we used change directory command, and there are a few tricks to it. One of them is basically using this marcation. So if I type in this and if I press enter, okay, I'm already in that directory. But let's say that I was in root boot grub 2, I don't know, whatever. Yep, I am there. Anyway, how would I get back to my home directory where my username is? What would I do? What would I need to type in? Well, one of the first things that
comes to mind is cd slash home slash random guy, and I would be there. And if I want to go to the downloads folder, I would have to type in downloads. So this whole